Hey everyone. Okay, so the audio got kind of screwed up on our recording. We were traveling in New York, and I just wanted to give a better intro for Jake and Tyler. We've got Jake Rockwell, one of the top team leaders in the country, does over 500 transactions a year with an amazing team of super skilled, highly trained agents. Absolutely incredible. You're not going to want to miss everything he has to offer. He's done over $1 billion in real estate. And his director of expansion, Tyler Boening, joining him on the call. And I wanted to make sure that you guys really knew who was here. You didn't get discouraged because of all the techno bobbles that we had at the beginning of the original recording. So we chopped off our original intro. We popped this one on. Without any further ado, here's Jake Rockwell and Tyler Boening.
Morning, community. How are we all doing this morning? I am here 3 hours early. Well, you guys are all over the country, I guess. I'm in Hawaii. I was supposed to be back Saturday of last week, but after I looked at the weather in Southern Oregon and the snow forecast, I decided to stay a little longer. And I told my team I'll be back when spring starts. So anyway, I'm back Friday. Anyway, super excited to be here and kind of share our experience and what we're doing and how we do what we do and help those that are possibly thinking about starting a team or have a team and want to scale that. So Tyler Boening's obviously a rock star agent on our team. He is our expansion director and also takes on a lot of management duties within our team. So super excited to have him here with me. And Jeff and Lexi, thank you so much for you guys just have done an incredible job putting together the community and all of the resources and training that you're doing. So just everybody super fortunate to have you. So thank you. All right.
Thanks.
So, I don't want this isn't about me. This isn't about, what I've accomplished. It's about how, and it's about why and what's worked. And I've been self-employed for many years. And I generally find out why I succeeded after I've succeeded, because I look back at what worked, right? And, going into some of our businesses and different things, you don't really know what's going to work until you see it work in action. And so 10 years ago, I was bankrupt, literally bankrupt, and had nothing, and got my real estate license and gave it my all. I went into that office and made calls and just started selling real estate. About 6-8 months along the way, it started to happen. But I wanted to make sure that I would be successful in real estate. So I had to do 8 hours a day. I had to put the time in to see, is it going to really work? Is it going to work? And so that is when it began, when I started getting a few deals in escrow, and that's what I call momentum. And that momentum is what basically got us to this point 10 years later. And starting a team or owning it, having a team, I like to think of it, the difference of being self-employed and owning a business. Real estate agent or hairdresser, team leader, team versus salon owner, okay? The different quadrants of the Kiyosaki 4 boxes, really. It's self-employment. You're only making money if you show up to it, right? And so really starting a team or having a team is building a business that allows you to scale, to not have to show up to every dollar, right? So there's lots of different ways to and I'm going to bring up some slides and go through this, but just in general, there's lots of different ways to build teams and start teams, but it's not, you see, people like me or other team leaders that are, everything that we post on Facebook is all fun. We don't post the not so fun. And running a team is not as glamorous as it may seem. It's not for everybody. It's just like owning a business. There's the good, the bad, the ugly, and and there's bumps along the way, and we've had a lot of bumps on our team, and it's like, okay, it's all on my shoulders to really navigate our team through some of it with this market shift and team members leaving and income at half the level and so forth. So it's, you really want to think about what do you vision, what do you want, and I want to help people kind of find that vision too, whether it's on this call or after this. So with that said, I'm going to pull up anything you want to add, Tyler?
Oh, you just put a reminder in my brain of, like getting into management and thinking like, oh, like the glamour and all of that. And at one point, I recall the phone call I made to you, like, where I was like, Jesus, dude, this is like herding cats. And we have more cats than I knew about.
Yeah, I mean, the variable is people, right? And you get a lot of different, you build a team from 5 agents to 50 agents, and it's a whole different animal.
Mm-hmm.
It is rewarding if it's done right. And again, it's not for everybody. Not everybody needs a mega team. Some days I'm like, maybe I should just be on someone else's team, but that's not in my blood, and I'm a business guy and I like to build business. And the ultimate goal for me is to get to a point where I have a CEO running this business, not team, but this business that runs the company, and allows me to retire and so forth. And who knows, maybe my son will move his way up the ladder at some point in the business too. So yeah, so let me share my screen. So we're going to go through, some of the different, we're going to go through some different topics. And again, I don't want to get too big into mega team type stuff. I want to really kind of help. I want to get through this so that we can answer some questions and help people navigate if they want to get into a team. And probably one of the biggest things that I would stress is there's a lot. Teams are growing nationally, and it is, in my opinion, the way of the future. And I believe, no offense to the solo agent, but it is going to be, it's going to overtake solo agents, in my opinion, because there's just economies of scale, and the resources and the power of teams will have a great effect on the industry, and it's already being proven that. And so there's a lot of people out there trying to just getting their license and wanting to start building a team just all of a sudden, or maybe they're doing 5-10 deals a year and they want to build a team because they want agents to come in and sell houses for them so that they can make money and go to the beach. There may be people out there doing that. That's not how I did it. That's not why I did it. I built our team out of necessity. My first year in real estate, I sold 36 homes. I worked 80 hours a week, and I don't care how many hundreds of thousands of dollars it wasn't worth it. If I'm working 80 hours a week, there's no life, right? And you can make all the money in the world, but if you can't enjoy it, then what's it matter? So that's where it began. Is after selling those 36 homes, I knew I needed help. And so I hired one person, or I brought one person on to help with some of the administrative stuff and help with some of the buyers' leads, or some of the leads that were coming in. So probably one of the biggest things I can say is, when you're starting a team, it should be because you have so much business that you need help. And if you want to build a team, but you don't have so much business yet, you need to build that business first before bringing on your first hire or your first person. That's my opinion. That's not how everyone else thinks in the industry, but some of the top teams have been built that way because they built from the initial team person, the rainmaker or the team leader that built up this business and couldn't handle it, built up their business and couldn't handle it. So some things we're going to talk about: benefits of starting a real estate team, why agents should join a real estate team, structure, team culture, typical splits and pay, lead generation, training and support, team retention, expansion teams, and exit strategy. All right. So we kind of talked a little bit about my background. I have a marketing background. I've owned several companies in the past. I've made millions of dollars. I've lost millions of dollars. Like I said, 10 years ago, I went bankrupt, and now we've got a team. I own lots of rental properties. And in the real estate business is what fueled the passive business, and obviously with EXP, we have a little bit more passive opportunities, but it's, so not enough about me there. So benefits of a real estate team. So what a real estate team is going to do for a high producing agent is obviously you're turning your what you think is a business into an actual business, because now you're building income that doesn't require you every step of the way. Work-life balance, increased income, obviously. In most cases, if it's done right, increased income. Sometimes most of your income in a team, most team leaders' income comes from the team leader themselves, and they're not necessarily making a lot of money on the production of the agents. And so it's got to be done right to make it work to where you can actually maybe eventually step out of production and so forth. So increased income, scalability, obviously, economies of scale. When you have 10 agents, 5 agents, 20 agents, whatever, you can keep your expenses lower on a per agent basis. You don't need multiple transaction coordinators, multiple listing coordinators. Your marketing can fit for all agents and so forth. So economies of scale, increased client satisfaction. I absolutely believe a team can provide a higher level of service to clients, if done right, than a solo agent. And that's one of our selling points when we're talking to clients is there's not a solo agent out there that can provide a level of service that a team of 30 agents can, or a team of 30 can, because we can be there every minute of the day, 7 days a week, and service our clients. Now, there's lots of great agents, a lot of great solo agents, even on this Zoom. I'm not saying that solo agents don't do an awesome job. They do, but I believe that teams can offer a better level of service if done right for the clients. So increased credibility, obviously, the larger your team, the more production, the more credible you become in your marketplace. Why agents should join a real estate team? So a lot of people, I hear a lot of times people, hey, Tyler, do you want to touch on anything on the benefits of the real estate team first? I mean, you being on the team.
So the benefits actually kind of fall into like the next slide in my brain, because I wasn't quite as productive as Mr. Rockwell in my first year, but I did 18, right? And thinking about, like doubling the closings with team leads, just that first bullet point of like a benefit to join. Like I did 18. I only brought 3 to the table myself. The rest were all team leads coming in, and 3 to 18. That's a massive scale upward for production. So that was my piece on the double the closings to that. I was, times 6.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, if it's done right and the right things happen, we're going to get into some of that to make it a successful team. Yeah, agents should be able to double their business. And it's not about the team leader leveraging agents for themselves. It's agents should be leveraging their team or their brokerage. And we've talked a little bit about this in the past. And an agent that leverages the team properly can do a lot more business. And some might think, okay, well, they're getting maybe half the commission on that, and they're doing twice as much. So why not just do half as much and get all the commission? Well, you forget the time part. A team saves an agent a ton of time. So agents join teams for to kind of kick off their career. Most of the agents that join our team are starting out new. And I absolutely believe, and it's a proven fact that brand new agents have a much higher success opportunity on a team than going solo in the beginning. And it's a proven fact that I think 80% of agents fail in the first 5 years, and that greatly reduces when agents join a team. And we've seen it, obviously we have agents also join our team that don't make it, but most of the time it's because agents don't show up. So work-life balance, leveraging the team, jump-starting a career. They join teams for training and support. Able to do more. Somebody say something. Able to do more in less time. better service for the clients, lower expenses. Our agents, we cover a lot of expenses for our agents. Accountability, we have accountability measures built into our business, tracking that helps keep agents accountable on task and help them to reach their goals. Leveraging the team success and credibility. Our agents have spoken many times where they go on listing appointments and they've heard of they've heard of the Rockwell Group. I'm not always been a fan, a believer that it's the brand that makes the agent successful, because I absolutely believe it's the agent that makes the brand successful. However, when your name and your signs are everywhere someone turns their head and a new agent goes on a listing appointment, those people probably heard of the Rockwell Group, or they've probably seen that we've been a part of the community or something that adds a little bit to that credibility. Ultimately, it's that agent's personality, that agent's service, and how they're going to help that client that's going to win them that business. Anything you want to add, Tyler?
So part of that work, like the work-life balance piece too, of like having a team around you to leverage. And like I always track back in my brain to last fall. Right? I think it was either a Friday or a Saturday, right? But I was leveraging the team and like utilizing that power and walking into a house for a showing in the afternoon. And I remember thinking to myself, I was like, oh, because I have these teammates around me, I'm technically doing 5 showings right now. And I wrote 2 offers that night, right? One on the house I showed, right? But like it was just so powerful, and to be able to do that, right? Because other people were opening up doors for me. Of course, like I'm paying them, right? But I was still home by 5 o'clock instead of doing back to back to back to back. Everything just kind of happened to get scheduled at once, right? But it all got done within 30 minutes instead of over the course of hours. And so like that kind of leverage just has a ton of power behind it. And that's the piece I really wanted to touch on that. So
yeah, I was just reading through the comments, and Jeff says, step 1, go bankrupt. Don't do that. It's not a lot of fun, although I learned a lot. And you don't fail, obviously, if you only fail if you don't get back up, right? But I learned a lot from that crash that, has propelled me much further than I was before at that point. And no time for golfing, Allie. Yeah, well, I'm coming to your place to golf with your husband in a couple of weeks. So Mike has his hand raised. What's up,
Jake?
You bet, Mike.
Yeah. So one of the things that you didn't add on there that kind of ties into what Jeff said about going bankrupt is I want to avoid that, right? Like I want to learn from somebody who's been there, done that, made some mistakes along the way, and has grown to where you're at now. And that was like the number one reason that I joined the Rockwell Group, right? Like knowing that you have been successful in other businesses, you've seen what it takes to fail, and you've seen what it takes to build back stronger. To me, that's like the number one thing. So if somebody's starting a team, they've got to lead, with success and lead with production. And I wholeheartedly agree with what you were saying earlier, in that like to start a team, I fully believe you need to be there, done that, and be able to teach others along the way. Right. So I just wanted to add that. I really appreciate you, man.
Yeah, you too, bud. All right. So those are some of the reasons. I mean, we have finally recently, over the 10 years of having the team, we've had mostly new agents, some 1-2 year agents that have joined our team. But recently we're starting to get, we've got a 15-year agent, a 19-year agent that have joined our team. And because they want the leverage, they want that work-life balance. They want a little extra help, and they're willing to give up some commission split, because it's not all about percentages. And that's what I think people get stuck with is looking at these percentages and even people leaving our team, they're like, I'm giving up 25, 50% or whatever of my commission. They don't realize what it costs to run a successful real estate business. It's 30 to 35% to run a successful one for me. If you want to call my business successful, it's 30%. All the books say 30%. I work with a bookkeeping company that does the books for hundreds and hundreds of teams across the country, and they say the same thing. So I trust that expenses are 30%, because that's what mine are. So I have to really look at that as a business, at where's my marketing, where's my payroll, and so forth. And so when an agent goes out on their own, they have to really think about, okay, not only am I going to spend 30% in expenses, but I now have to do a lot of it myself, right? And I have to be responsible, where if I bring on a team member, I feel responsible for their success. I feel responsible to make sure that they have the best opportunity moving forward. So yeah, so there's obviously lots of reasons to join a team if it's done right. Not all teams are created equal, and we're going to touch on what I truly in my heart believe what makes a successful team, but we're going to get there. So team structure. Obviously, you know, there's lots of different structures out there. There's partnership teams, husband and wife teams. Those kind of teams, husband and wife teams, and like partnership teams where you get 2 agents or a few agents that all kind of work together and divvy up their commissions. That's one way to do it. There's benefits to that, and I think there's drawbacks. You miss out on some benefits with that because you don't ultimately, if you have a partnership team, one goes on vacation and they cover you, which is great because then you can have a good vacation, and then vice versa, right? But you're not necessarily making any more money. You're just getting more of that work-life balance. But normally you have a team leader, CEO. Assistants would include transaction coordinator, listing coordinator, marketing director, which is kind of what our team has. ISAs, OSAs, inside sales agents or outbound sales agents, buyers agents, listing agents. That's the traditional, that's kind of old school now. I should have changed that on this slide, but we don't separate buyers agents and listing agents. All of our agents have the opportunity to work with buyers and sellers. Some of the older school team structures have it set up that way. In fact, a lot of team leader, when I started out as the team leader, I took control of most of the listings. I spent my time on listings because that was where the time that, you know, it's 25% of the time of a buyer is working listings. So I would work listings and then I'd dish out the buyer leads. And I remember the first time I gave up a deal, and it's hard as a team leader, like I'm going to have to actually, if I give them the solid buyer lead, this person's buying a house and I'm going to give up $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 of that commission. It's hard for a team leader or an agent to start that process, but once you do, you'll never go back because it just creates a freedom. And I remember it was a Sunday. I handed this lead off to my first team member, and I knew they were buying a house that Sunday, but I wanted that Sunday off with my family, and it was like, I think it was $3,000 or $4,000 commission that I was giving up for that agent to go show the house and write the contract and deal with it. And it was hard in the beginning, but it's necessary. It's necessary. And, you know, a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to, you know, it was necessary to save that time so that I could build bigger. And the percentages are not what matters. It's what goes into your pocket is what matters, and how much time you have left over in the day to spend doing what you love and with who you love. And so having the right structure, again, lots of different ways to structure. Starting out, I think that people should be, you know, when I started out, I brought on someone that was licensed that could help with some of my paperwork, help with addendums, writing offers, listing paperwork, and would help go show homes and help with some of the leads, the overflow of leads I had. And the splits weren't always perfectly cut and dry. If it was like one of my sphere members and I wanted them to just go show a house, then they would go show a house and I'd give them 10, 20% or something like that and give them a piece of that deal, because I knew that if I did, then they would be maybe help with inspections and so forth, letting people in the house and so forth. So lots of different ways to structure the team. Again, start out with an assistant / buyer's agent, someone like that can help. I've heard also a lot of people want to start with someone that can generate leads or process the leads that you have coming in, making calls, setting up appointments. That's another great first hire, because then it's just filling your calendar up. And then you can start handing that off to an agent to go do that business. Okay. So we have these slides that are licensed versus unlicensed. This is a gray area. in the industry. I mean, it's, you have licensed, what licensed agents are allowed, what licensed versus unlicensed assistants are able to do. I like to say I like to ride in the gray area. I do in a lot of ways, but generally, obviously, your unlicensed assistants, unlicensed people are not going to be able to, help clients in the way that we think of as agents. They can provide public information about properties. They can't show homes. They can't do open houses. They can't, they can let people in, inspectors in and stuff like that. But generally, all of our people on our team are licensed. I think everyone, is there anybody unlicensed on our team, Tyler? I don't think, other than Mike. No, just kidding. Just kidding. No, I think all of our staff are licensed, I think.
So just the ISAs.
Oh, the ISAs are not. Inside sales agents, which is ironic because, what can you do and what you can't do, a little bit of gray area. They set up appointments for licensed agents, but they will be most likely licensed at some point. I know Brandy is working on her license and so forth. So there's, I won't go through all of these. I mean, you can kind of look through these and we'll get these slides out to people if you're an unlicensed assistant may do this. One other role that I didn't really touch on are VAs. We do utilize VAs in our business. So like our marketing director and listing coordinator and our transaction coordinator, they all also have assistants as VAs that help with just, like uploading to SkySlope and dealing with just, lower level tasks that need to be done to save them time. And it's a great affordable way to take care of some of the administrative staff. You can also use for lead generation and so forth. If anybody ever wants to hire a VA, I mean, we use a company and our VAs are $4 an hour. You can pay them a little more and maybe get a little bit more service out of them. But anyway, so VAs. So again, licensed versus unlicensed. All right, let's get to some more of the meat. So operating a real estate team. I just threw this slide in. So I've thought about this a lot over the last few years of what really makes a well-rounded team. And I think without one, you could be really heavy on it and providing lots of leads to to your team members and think that that's what's gonna, build your team into success. It's not the case. We used to not be a well-rounded team, and we're still always working on each of these pillars on making them better. And sometimes one of the pillars might go down and we have to rebuild it back up and make it better. And so, but it really takes all of it. It takes all the spokes of the wheel to keep it rounded. And I start with training and support because building a team has to be about the team members. It has to be about helping them succeed. If they don't succeed, the team will not succeed. No way, no how. And so if they're not selling homes, then your team's not going to survive. You have to help them. You have to help them through training, through support, providing them opportunities / leads. And in the beginning, with our team, we had, a couple agents and it just slowly added one more. And I had a lot of time to be able, because there was only 4 or 5 people, I was able to pour into those people and help them on every transaction or their transactions and provide them leads and so forth. But we didn't get to where we are now without having agents find success. Most of our agents were brand new agents. And when you look at the numbers of our current agents and even agents that have left the team that are rock stars in our industry or in our area, it all started from the support and training and opportunity of being on our team. And now some of them have broken off and are doing their own thing and possibly building their own teams, which is awesome, which is a big reason why we came on to EXP, is because it provides that opportunity in a positive note where before it maybe wasn't quite as positive. And sometimes, and again, it's not all positive when people leave your team, because there's you're dealing with people and sometimes people leave for negative reasons, and we've had a lot of it. I mean, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. We've lost 10 or 15 agents over the last 90 days, but we've got agents still coming in too. And there's lots of different reasons why agents leave. Sometimes it's just a lack of understanding. Sometimes we're letting people go because they're not fitting our culture and fitting our team. And sometimes they're finding so much success that they want to be in my shoes, or they want to be in the shoes of a team leader. And I want that for them. I want that for anybody that wants that. Again, not everybody wants that, because it's running a business. It's having an overhead of tens of thousands of dollars and having that on your shoulders, and the success of your team members on their shoulders. So it's not for everyone. So you got to really visualize, is this for me? Is it, or do I want simplicity and do my 10, 20, 30 deals a year and be good with that, and maybe have an assistant? So you got to visualize what you want, and everyone's different. So training, support, opportunity, basically leads, providing agents. We have, more leads than we have agents willing to work. We have, I would say, tens of thousands of leads that could be worked in our business. Tools, obviously being with EXP, we get a lot of tools. Being with EXP, we get a lot of training and support. And that was another big reason with being with EXP, is now I can leverage the brokerage for our team. I can leverage the principal brokers. I can leverage all the training that we have. So we push our agents to training with EXP that EXP provides, and the community training. So tools, different software tools. Obviously, EXP provides a good amount of software and tools that we can all use as a team. We bring on a few additional ones, like Sisu, which is an accountability tracking tool that we use. We have a different CRM than KV Core that was more that fit better for what we're needing on our team at our scale. Different website platforms and so forth. We've got, people helping put up signs and stuff like that. The last one, culture. Culture is, is in my opinion, the glue that keeps the team together. And our culture has gotten hit a little bit lately. And so we're trying to fix that and improve it. We've always had really, really good culture, really happy. Everyone's happy to be on our team. They'll do anything for each other. But unfortunately, during the market shift and when everyone's sales went down, it can hinder culture, and it can hinder the culture of the team, because negativity starts to creep in. People start leaving, or people start getting let go, and different things like that. So it can hurt the culture. And but the culture is really, it's about really, truly, truly caring about your team members. It's about being family, and doing everything you can for your team members, not just providing them leads and support and training, but caring about their families and helping them in ways that are outside of business. We do team events every month. We get, whether we go out to a happy hour or go bowling or we do various things to keep our community of our team and our culture strong. And again, it's a tough one. And but I think the best way to start as a small team is to regular breakfasts, regular lunches with your team, just getting the families of your team members together, having some fun, whether you're sharing the cost of those and just doing a happy hour or something like that, that will go a long way with building that culture, especially in a non-brick and mortar type company. If you don't have brick and mortar office, you've got to do that get together type stuff. Anything you want to add, Tyler?
Oh, just thinking about just the 5 pillars, like as themselves, and like between all of them, like these are like the most important things to plug yourself into. And in lieu of like thinking about like new agents and people with like a little less experience, like these are the 5 things that are, minus culture. If you're by yourself, like these are the things that you need to like actively work on and seek out and plug into and find as much as you can to gain traction. Whereas you join a team and all of it's just right there provided for you, right? And you can just plug in so much easier, and there's just so much more opportunity like in front of you because of that. And I know it's one of the pillars, but it goes to say. And the culture piece, it's funny because I think about like when it comes to the culture of the Rockwell group, the team we have. And I remember when I first joined in the very beginning, and I was so fresh and new. I was in my mind on point of kind of like, oh, I'm going to do this for a couple of years, grow my sphere a little bit. I'm in a new area. I'll utilize this stuff, and then I'll just go out on my own. But in lieu of like a lot of things Jake just said, at the mark and point where I was like 6-7 months in, that mindset completely went backwards and like shifted. It was so hard. And one, because like Jake in particular, it was like, wow, like this guy really cares about me. And like he really cares about my success and he cares about my family. But then just the team culture on the overall, I mean, by month 6 or 7, I was on point of like, well, I'm never leaving. I'm just going to be here forever. And that sounds great. So just these pillars are like super, super important. Right. And a team can just provide so much. And like the training and support piece, especially right, if you are like a little bit newer, I always kind of, I do a presentation at the local community college, and I kind of use this example of, on a team, you get provided shadow opportunities. Because if you think about it, like, if you had an electrician in front of you who completed all the years of schooling and never touched a junction box, like, is that the guy you want to hire, or is the guy that you want to hire the one who did all the schooling, has touched all the junction boxes, got his hands dirty? And in those beginning stages, being solo and not on a team and not having the shadow opportunities to watch and, touch, see, feel, and like how the job like really goes. And, it's kind of a no-brainer. So that's my piece on this one.
Yeah. I was looking at, go ahead.
So I love what you were saying about keeping in touch and being intentional about bringing people together and those opportunities, especially with a cloud-based brokerage. How do you do that? Because you have teams all over the place, and you guys are so connected, even with that big distance. So I know you do stuff locally, but how do you build team on the regular when you're not like at events or whatever with those groups that are further out?
Yeah, obviously it's a lot more difficult because we can't be there. They can't be at our team events every month, And so really the goal is to build those teams as their own individual teams. But they have to start the same way I did. They've got it, those individual agents in those areas, Ryan in Vegas and Jonathan in Arizona. They've got to build their business so that they can bring on team members and build what we have. They do come to some of the, some of our annual events, and we get together. And because I like to travel, I go see them all. But in fact, I'll be in Tennessee to see Mike and his brother in a couple months. But it's hard. I mean, they come into our team meetings every Tuesday in Zoom. Tyler, as our expansion director, meets with them every week. And so it is difficult though. It's not quite the same, unfortunately for them, as much as I would love it to be, but we have to build it. We have to build it to that. And that's really the goal, is to get to that point and build it to a 2 or 3 or 4 person team and start building that, and then having big client events in those areas. And so it's not easy. But it's,
and I know, Jake, that part of it for you is that, and you and Tyler work really hard, and your whole team, honestly, about teaching agents that one of the keys to success is plugging in. And I know all of those people that you mentioned. I know Ryan, I know Mike, I know all of them, and it's because they plug in.
Yeah.
And I think, is that something that you guys have done intentionally to teach your agents?
Yeah, I mean, we try. We're not 100%. We can't get everybody to plug in, and that's generally the ones that don't plug in. Sometimes don't have the same level of success. But it doesn't mean they're not happy. If they're happy, then I'm happy. But and that's really our only requirement, is people are happy. And they represent our brand properly. But yeah, I mean, we're doing more and more of that right now, and really trying to push people to plug into community, to EXP, and to other events to really soak in what's possible. And and try to learn and get better and improve our crafts, right? So we're really pushing on that more and more now with our team.
And I'll speak to some more expansion stuff. I know we have a slide coming up.
Yep. Yeah. And, and again, some people, if people are out there that are on a team and they want to go build a team, it's super important to make sure you know how to fish before you go out and start your own team, or before you go out on your own even. We've had agents leave our team that I wonder if, how they might do, because they were so reliant on team leads that did they ever learn how to fish? And we don't push people to only take team leads. We want to teach people to fish. But again, we just got out of the strongest real estate market in decades, and it was really easy for a lot of people. They just had to pick up the phone and they were doing business. And so it caused a lot of people, a lot of agents, to not understand what it really takes to be successful in this business, and that it takes waking up every day and with a main goal in mind to have real estate related conversations with people, because that's what it takes to sell real estate. And unfortunately, it takes activity, it takes work to do that. And so if you have the ability to do that, then that's when you should have success being able to go out on your own, building your own team, if that's what you want. So all right, so let's talk a little bit about leads. Obviously, Jesse, you've got a question.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your time, by the way, Tyler and Jake.
Yeah.
I appreciate getting on here. Having a smaller team, I really respect what you guys have built. And I've got a list of questions, but I don't want to take too much time, of course, late in the presentation. But I wanted to ask you how you've managed to maintain the, let's say, higher level or higher producing agents on your team specifically. I know obviously that community aspect. Tyler, it sounded like you said after like 7 months, you were like, no, I'm staying here forever. What do you think you've really done intentionally to kind of retain those agents? Because I see that as a problem across the board with a lot of agents like that have teams that I've seen, and I've experienced that myself.
They all left, Jesse. They all just left.
They all just left.
They all just left. It's culture. Definitely. Culture and value, right? No, I mean, we did have some of our top producers leave, and some of them on good level, and they still come into our office, and I still help them because I want them to succeed. Obviously, with the XP, I want them to build a team of 50, right? But culture and value. What value are you offering the team? And it really comes down to what services, how are you saving them time? What opportunities are you providing them? And so, and then the culture, they have to be happy. They have to love the team. They have to love being around. They have to love, being a part of something that is much bigger than any one of them individually. I mean, it's not, and it's not all me. I mean, my team's not a team without my team members, right? So really, those are the two things that I think are the most important. But you're not going to retain everybody. You're not going to retain everybody. It comes down to numbers. I mean, team members are going to come and go, and that is. I mean,
I started on a team myself, got to a point, and then broke off and started my own team. And so I understand that retention at a certain level, some people are just going to grow and grow and grow and want to take on their own adventure and start their own.
And that's the beauty, of EXP, because we can make it positive. We can go help them build their team. I remember, over the years we've lost people, and I had someone on my team always saying, "Oh gosh, you're losing agents." I don't know, but then we still grow. Right. Because there's still agents that want our help, that still want to be a part of who we are and what we're doing. And really the number one path to growth with a team or a brokerage is agent count. You're not going to get an agent, 5 agents to sell 100 homes a year. It ain't going to happen. So it really comes down to agent growth. And the more agents you have, the more business you'll do. But it also causes more possibilities of it's harder to do that, because now you have to have support staff to support those agents. You have to have the right onboarding, the right training, the right amount of leads, the right amount of money spent. So it's a balancing act for sure. And we've gone through our bumps obviously along the way, and we're going to have more bumps down the road. It's
growing pains. Totally. Well, thank you.
Part of business.
That's my question. I really appreciate it.
You bet. What's up, JJ?
Hey, what's up? I just wanted to also just maybe wasn't top of mind for you at the moment, but for Jesse, and to his question, one thing that being on the team as a strategic takeaway for you, Jesse, is also Jake does a really, really good job about meeting with his agents at least quarterly. And he'll talk at the team meeting and say, hey, I'm in town for the week. Here's my calendar. Anybody can book a call. But he doesn't just leave it at that. Then he'll follow up with a bunch of agents and say, hey, what are you doing Thursday or what are you doing Friday? Let's grab lunch, or some people go golfing with him or whatever it is. But he doesn't just leave it up to people coming to him. He also is proactive of meeting with people and then asking a couple questions. Hey, how's your business going? How's your calls going? What can we do to help you achieve what you're looking to do? Are you into recruiting? Do you want to recruit more? Just asking those questions and then diving a little bit deeper into each agent and helping them be resourceful. So he's very proactive with his calendar.
I have to do that because they just don't want to book with me. They don't like my answers. Because I just say you got to make more calls, man. Anyway.
I love it. Thank you, JJ. Thank you, Tyler. Appreciate it.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about lead generation. So obviously leads is what everyone thinks that they need to provide for team members. They do need to provide opportunities and leads. And we have a lot of leads. We've never had a lead problem. Obviously, most of it comes down to money and what you spend, and you've got to lead with revenue. So I can't spend money on lead generation until I was selling houses, and then I take a percentage. Generally, 10% of your GCI should go towards all of your marketing, lead gen, signs, photography for your listings, and so forth, around 10 to 12% of your GCI. So like if our team does $1 million in GCI, it's not the team portion, but it's the entire GCI. So we're spending, we spend, I think we did, I don't know, about 4 million in GCI maybe last year. So we spent 400,000 in lead generation and marketing and everything. And so, but you can't start with that, obviously. And I didn't start with that. I started with a little bit of pay-per-click ads in my sphere, and I'd hand off some of that. So obviously, when you build up a successful business yourself, you have business coming in from your sphere. We do Zillow. We were fortunate enough to get on Zillow Flex last year. So we have Zillow, which is a decent source of business. We do pay-per-click with Ylopo and some of our own pay-per-click on Google. Valuation attempts, which are, basically valuation attempts for seller leads. We use RedX and Mojo Dialer. Several of our agents are now really using that to prospect for sale by owners and expired listings or circle prospecting. We do differentiate like team leads versus agent generated leads. And a lot of teams do this differently, or there's lots of different ways to do it. I think of a team, the golden rule is if it wasn't for the team, is the question. If it wasn't for the team, would you have gotten the lead? Some teams even say, hey, this is my listing. You're doing an open house. That's a team lead if you get something because it's my open house. We don't do it that way. If the agent goes out and does the work for the lead, if they're using my Mojo Dialer subscription and our listings for open houses, it's their generated lead. And we don't differentiate as much. We don't differentiate as much on the generated leads versus. I guess in some cases we do team versus generated leads, or team leads versus agent leads. Referral sources, we sign up for a lot of the referral sources, Referral Exchange, Homelight, obviously Zillow, Opcity, all of these sources. And we invite the agents to do a lot of those. Obviously Zillow becomes a team lead, but when people do Opcity on our team, those are just leads that they're generated because they're paying a referral fee there. But there's lots of different referral companies out there that we get leads from, and yeah, we're paying a referral fee on that. We get lots of referrals from agents because they, what do agents mostly do? They look at Zillow, who's got the most reviews, and so we may get a call, and we actually are getting agents that are getting calls directly, which is awesome. Simona on her team yesterday got a call, and some agent found her on somewhere, whether it was on her Google page or wherever. So lots of different lead generation sources. We use ZBuyer, we use Ylopo, we've used Street Text. Again, leads are the easy part. The hard part with leads is properly processing and working those leads. That's where most of it, the failure is the follow-up, is not properly looking at that. And most team members on a lot of teams will be like, these are garbage leads. There is no such thing as a garbage lead. I'm going to tell you that right now. I don't care if they are looking at it. They're human beings. They're human being, and we're in a relationship business. We're not in a sales business. We're in a relationship business. And to say that a lead is a garbage lead, you're saying that relationship's not important. You never know what that relationship's going to get to. And so all leads are opportunities. Every lead is an opportunity. And the more you put yourself in the way of opportunity, the more success you're going to have. So, and we talk to our agents about that very regularly. So different lead generation, lead distribution. There are lots of ways to distribute leads. Obviously, a lot of people will do round robin. I'm not a big fan of round robin because speed to lead is important, and a round robin, if it just circles around a bunch of agents, that agent might not be available to make the call of that lead. We do a lot of blast, first to claim, and live transfer leads, lead distribution, where it blasts out to the team. Whoever claims it gets it. But if they claim it, they have to make a call and a text within 5 minutes. Otherwise, that lead gets stripped from them and goes out to the group again. Because it's important that we capture those leads at the time that they're actively looking at real estate or work, in the mindset. And I can't stress that enough, that it's extremely important, the timing of those leads. So that's why we do blasts and first to claim. Live transfers are your Zillow live transfers. We also utilize Conversion Monster as a third-party ISA company, and they do live transfers. So they process a lot of our leads for the 10 days of pain, try to get them on the phone, see if there's motivation. Do they want to talk to an agent? That's a live transfer. And that blasts to a bunch of people's numbers. Whoever answers it gets it, because we've got someone live. I need someone answering it on the right at that time. Distribute to broker with relevant. Yeah, sometimes we have certain types of leads that are, $1 million listing is not going to be probably the right fit for a brand new agent, or someone that focuses on farms. We may push a certain client or lead or type of property to a specific agent that will be best for that client. And so it's not all perfectly equal. And it's also not equal because we're going to pour into the people that are doing the most. We're going to pour into the people that are trying the hardest, showing up, making the calls, doing the business. Those are the people that are going to get the most leads. And if we have agents that aren't doing a lot of business, they need to show that effort. And we have all the stats, and we can see everything that our agents are doing, and keep an eye on that. We also have ISAs that their sole job is to get appointments for agents. We had ISAs in the early days. We're now incorporating ISAs again because I want to have more control over our lead program and make sure that leads don't fall through the cracks. So we've changed our CRM. We're incorporating more ISAs, so that way I, as a team owner, know that I'm not spending and wasting money. Yeah, Jeff. Yeah.
Yeah. First off, I love this stuff. And for everyone else who's here, I also want to say thank you, because what a great presentation so far. You hit such a great bingo term with me here, which is this ISA OSA model, which has been hot in real estate for a number of years. And it's really just people who are either operating the phones and even now doing DMs and this kind of stuff. I don't know exactly how your crew is working that. I'm sure it's awesome. What I can say for anyone on the call who's thinking, oh, I should go hire someone to lead generate for me, the very first thing that I always like to ask an agent is, are you currently lead generating successfully? Because it's really, really hard to manage and hold accountable someone else for doing work that you yourself are not willing to do. And I know Jake, I know like this guy's a machine, he's a monster, he's a warrior, and he's gone out and done the hard work to get to where he is. I see too many people thinking, oh, I've got a little extra money sitting aside, I'll hire someone to do the hard stuff. And the reality is it's very hard to hold that accountable unless you know how that really truly works, or you pay absolutely out the nose for someone who's truly incredible to do that work with and or for you. So I just wanted to pepper that in because I see it sometimes being a little bit of a roadblock. and it is a tremendous model to grow your business when done correctly. So anyway.
Yep. Yeah. And I don't think that that's, someone that you would, yeah, like you said, I mean, you got to know how to do it yourself, and you're just now, you're taking that off your plate and giving it to somebody else. If you're not, if you're having someone do something that wasn't on your plate, then it's like, okay, well, how do you know what that should be? So, so different types of lead distribution, training and support, super important. Onboarding, what's the experience of an agent joining your team? How much time do you have to help them with their contracts, help them learn the KV Core or the CRM, especially if it's a newer agent? You got to have that time to be able to help them learn the systems, learn how to build their business and so forth. And so obviously it's easier when you're starting out because you've got, one or two team members and so forth. So it's easier to have that time. As you grow, you may have to hire staff to help do that. And so that's where, really leveraging EXP, the community for some of that will help keep some of your time in your day as a team leader. If you can help the agents plug into where they need to go to learn what they need to learn to build their business. Let's see, typical pay, commission splits. Our commission splits generally 50% on buyers, and agents get around 35% on listings. And that seems really low, but in all actuality, it's, if we're providing the leads and listing, basically on our team, an agent basically goes on the appointment, secures the listing, and our team and our admin does the paperwork. We do the marketing, we put up the signs. All they're doing is negotiating the repairs and the offers. And so again, it's not all about percentage, it's about how much money and how much time you spent doing it, right? And so commission splits typically are 50-50 in teams across the country, but listings are generally a little bit less. Sometimes you have the team leader just handling all the listings and all the buyer leads go. And if an agent brings in their own listing, they may get more. But we pay for all the marketing, all the photos, whether it's drone, Matterport, or whatever, we pay for everything. You've got, sometimes you may have a dedicated listing agent where you hire them, and I've heard of teams, they pay $100,000 a year to a person that handles all the listings, or at least all the, maybe team leaders listings. We have a little hybrid of stuff. I've got my brother JR that helps out with a lot of my personal and Sphere business, and then he generates a lot of business. And so he gets, he's a little bit different. But you can, there's different ways to do it. But one thing that I will say, that if you're building a team, some of the mistakes I've made was the commission splits, paying too much on commission splits, because ultimately, what did I say the expenses were? 30%, right? Let's say it's 30%. And so if you're giving an agent 75% on a deal, how much you making? You're not. And agents, sometimes it's hard to understand. They're like, well, you wouldn't have got that money if I didn't bring that deal to the table, but I also wouldn't use the resources, you know what I mean? So it's, you've got to retain at least 55 to 60% of the commission to the team on average, a blend. So sometimes you're gonna, maybe offer more, sometimes it's gonna be less, but the blend has to be 55 to 60% if you wanna have a profit margin of 20 to 30%. And that's the industry standard for teams, 20 to 30% profit margin. And that's without me doing production. Obviously, in the beginning, you'll get a higher profit margin as an agent building and doing business yourself as the team leader. You'll get a higher profit margin because you're doing a lot of business yourself. But as you break away from that and as your team builds, your profit margin will drop. I can see a point where maybe my profit margin is only 15 to 20% because I need a CEO. I need to pay $150,000, $200,000 to someone to run the company. So 55 to 60%. So you got to think about that when you're doing your commission splits. And again, it's hard to explain to agents, the splits, but it's a matter of how much time are you saving them, how much value are you providing them, how much money are they putting in their pocket. Are they putting more money in their pocket than if they were doing it themselves? I absolutely believe a team can put more money in an agent's pocket than if they were doing it on their own, if it's done properly. Okay. Other methods of pay, incentives and bonuses. We do a lot of, we do incentives and bonuses, not as much lately, but incentive and bonuses with our staff. We do contests, bonuses with our, contests every month with our agents based on activities, not pendings and solds, but activities that got to those pendings and solds. We're big on those indicators. Retention. No quick wins. They can make more somewhere else. So a lot of people, people leave because of a lot of these types of things. Lack of training, lack of value. I remember a point where people were joining our team and they were just kind of like, what do I do? Where do I go? What's the process? Now we have an onboarding program, a 90-day onboarding program that walks people through what they need to do. A lot of it is they have to do it themselves. We're not going to drag people to the office to do it. They need to want it and be able to put the time in, but we provide the path for them. But different reasons why people leave. Why team members stay: solid training, accountability, getting a quick win. Our goal when someone joins our team, we want them to have something in escrow within 30 days. And so we really push for that. Some, the agents that aren't making it again are the ones that just aren't showing up. They're not doing the activities. They're not going through the onboarding. They're not making the calls and working leads and learning how to do it. We talked about team culture, weekly team meetings, monthly fun team events, positive work environment, giving back to agents, team gear. We all wear team gear for those that want to, but we provide a lot of that for our team. Expansion teams. Tyler, I'm going to let you run with a little bit on the expansion teams, and we can wrap this up for some questions.
So this one was a big one because in the beginning stages, I always kind of laugh from when Jake first was like, "Hey, you're the expansion director," and I was excited for it, and like the new task at hand. And then the next day, Jake got on a plane and flew away, and I was like, "Wait a minute, what do I actually do?" But I dived into workplace and started looking at it. I was like, okay, who's done this before me? Who's done this successfully? And started searching people out. And and that's just like an awesome part about being part of EXP as well, is just being able to go to real estate Google, also known as workplace, and finding these people. But a huge thing with that is, like looking at like what fails and what succeeds. And with all of our expansion areas, I knew like some of the things that like were going to be like the most important, because it's all at a distance, is communication. And so I flipped my schedule into like, okay, there's got to be once a week one-on-ones with me directly, and and I do that on Mondays with all my guys. And yeah, it's real estate Google. But I do with like the once a week one-on-ones. And then I knew it was important to also create a culture in the expansion areas where we felt our own community that resembles the community we have at the central hub here in Oregon. And so I also do we do one big meeting with all of us, and the one-on-ones are focused kind of more on production. And then the Thursday meeting is more focused on growth and agent attraction, and like kind of just like a round robin of coaching. And we also have like a group chat and set up over text, and so we're always kind of actively engaging with each other, keeping each other accountable. And really, I mean, at this point, we're like the handful of us, it's just like a nice like family orientation almost. But it's communication, and I always just keep myself very readily available for anything, come what may, with all of the guys in the different states, and just like that availability. And part of like the 30, 60, 90-day training program that Jake was referencing also kind of works hand in hand with this on the expansion side in my brain, because the most important part of the 30, 60, 90, most important part of expansion is just being present, like just being there for everyone, like any step of the way. Even 9:30 at night because Ryan over in Las Vegas set an attraction call with a guy in India, so it called for a late evening. But like that uniformity was like super, super important to me, but also, and like, thinking about time together, like what's like the best like way to utilize everything. And so I'm like very much on point with like one, I want every one of the expansion people, whether it's a team manager or just one of the team members, and like once a year and coming to the central hub in Oregon, walking into the office, seeing the people, talking to the people, getting to engage. And because that's that touch, see, feel, where they get to see like where the heart of it is and what they're trying to duplicate. And then on the second piece of that, of like utilizing EXP. Last year for EXPCon, I pushed and pushed and pushed for everybody to go to freaking Las Vegas. I think I paid for an extra ticket. I paid for like half of a hotel room, but and that's just because it was so important that we all like got to see each other and hang out and just develop even more culture. And so really it falls back on just presence and culture and presence and culture.
And I think something to, understand is the expansion. Obviously, you have a hub as your centralized area, and that's where you don't need to duplicate transaction coordination, listing coordination, and all that. So that helps financially. Splits and caps. Obviously, the caps are a little bit different with EXP. The first team leader is an 8. Well, this depends on the size of your team, but they will still be a reduced cap at 8,000 cap with EXP. We do have a little bit higher splits on some stuff with some of our expansion because they don't get the same level of culture and service and so forth. We do build our teams to where the team leader of that area will get an override of their team members. So that way they're getting the benefit outside of revenue share, but they'll get a little override on business that the other team members do in those areas. So again, there's different ways to expand into other areas, but the number one rule that I think is it really takes the right person that's going to do everything. I mean, they have to start from scratch. They got to build the business first. They got to build their own business first before they can start building the team. And so obviously we provide leads for them. We provide support and training and all that from afar, but having the right person, the right number one is crucial. So, anything else that you want to touch on, Tyler? I'm going to jump into.
No, I think that pretty much caps that one off easy.
Yeah. So exit strategy with the team, obviously, some people are like, they want to get out of the business and it's like, why would I ever, eliminate the team? I'll hire a CEO and run it and wait for my son to grow up and hopefully maybe he wants to get into it. But yeah, you can sell your team, you can hand it off, possibly collect referral fees for a long term. But I like the idea. I mean, Ford built his company to run without him and he collected income. Business can be built to where you can be retired and you can still have some form of income with it. So obviously EXP exit strategies pretty huge if you take that road with building not only your own team, but maybe building a larger EXP organization that's kind of like a team. And so there's the beauty with EXP is it allows you to build a different type of team that isn't quite as involved as maybe a traditional team. So lots of different ways to exit, but it provides an exit, and as a solo agent, you can exit by obviously building, doing AXP revenue share or by getting referrals. But if you build a business out of it, you have a business I want a business that's here for forever. I want to build a brand, a company that can last forever, but not necessarily with me day to day. So any questions? That is it on our slides, but I want to answer questions that people might have, and just know that this isn't the only time. You can always reach out to me anytime and I'll help. Again, most people probably maybe starting teams, mid-sized teams, or thinking about starting a team. Happy to help in any way I can. Who's got questions?
Hey, Jake, I saw that somebody had asked about your onboarding process, and I was just curious, is that something that you're comfortable sharing, or is that something that's more proprietary to your group?
I'll share everything. I'll share anything. And so just send me an email. Actually, why don't you send, if you can just send me an email, Jeff, and I'll forward that on to Lindsay, or Tyler can maybe even get it to you.
Awesome.
Our whole onboarding program. We used to have, through the shift, we had someone full-time as our onboarding director. But as things shifted, like most businesses do, when revenues go down, we have to cut. And so that was one of the departments that we had to cut. But we also decided at the same time, we're going to leverage our company a little bit more for our onboarding and training. And we want people, we don't want an onboarding director just constantly calling, hey, are you going to come to training? Are you going to come to training? We want people on our team that want it. And if they don't want it, then, I'm focused on the people that want it.
Yeah. You can take an unfocused person and put them on the Olympic gold medalist team. That doesn't mean that person becomes an Olympic gold medalist. So I totally understand. Thank you. And yeah, we'll share it inside the community center when we get this video posted up for everybody.
Yep. What's up, JJ?
I emailed it to you, Jeff, the 306090.
Oh, I just wanted to add too, I'll drop the link to the YouTube channel, Pro Real Estate Teams on YouTube. So Jake and I have been basically breaking down everything he talked about in today's presentation to kind of bite-sized format for you guys if you're looking to build a team. And everything he's covered today, he goes a little bit more into depth in some of it, but it's, like I said, bite-sized 10, 15, 20 minutes on each topic. And he'll be releasing new videos every 2 weeks. So that'll be a good place to check out.
And Tyler, did you send the 36? Did you only send the checklist, or did you send the whole onboarding?
The checklist. I can do that.
Yeah. Get with Lindsay, that we have a whole, bunch of stuff. And I mean, we can even share the team agreement and so forth. So maybe just kind of write down, Tyler, to get with Lindsay and make sure you send everything, and then you can throw it all up in the community. Jesse.
There we go. I'm unmuted. Yeah, so I have a few questions. I'll just, for respect to everybody else in the chat, I'll ask my favorite one of my questions, I guess. But what have you done to maintain quality and reputation when bringing on so many new agents and kind of growing that team at scale? Like, maintaining that quality is, it sounds like you started selling houses yourself, and similar to myself, like as you bring on all these new people, obviously I know systems and training is super important, but when you bring on, I mean, I think you had as many, I don't know how many, what was your record number of people on the team at one time? I mean,
I think between 50 and 60. And I think now we're between 40 and 50. And, I mean, we have people onboarding, somewhat regularly,
still
but
a few folks there. So what have you to be intentional about maintaining that integrity, that kind of ethics, the making sure that that's in place?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we keep an eye. I mean, because we have so many people, we have a lot of eyeballs, but we try to take a lot of the things off the agent's plate. So listing coordination, Danny handles a lot of that. So that way it's consistent there. Transaction coordination, marketing, Lindsay takes care of. And so we try to take some of that stuff off our plate. And it's training and support, and it's never going to be perfect. I mean, we've had agents that we've let go because the way they operate, the way their lack of communication with clients, their lack of willingness to learn how to do it right. Or maybe they're not representing our brand the way we want. So, we don't let a lot of people go, but we will when that happens. And so, we team meetings every week. We've been really fortunate. We get a really good attendance at our team meetings, probably because of how well I put these team meetings. I'm just kidding. It's not me. We got people in the habit of coming in at 9 o'clock every Tuesday. We've been doing it for years, and they show up. And so we talk about the things that we see, and we have trainings on that, and we remind people that it's their licenses on the line. A few years back, I decided to take myself off of all the contracts. In the beginning, I was on every offer, on every listing agreement. I do not do that anymore. I don't want my license on the line, especially with that many agents. Plus, ultimately in the beginning, it was just for MLS stats. And I don't give a rip about MLS stats. I got my own stats, and it doesn't really matter. The only people that look at MLS are the agents that are looking at MLS, and I don't care if agents think that, say they're doing more business, and I don't care if they're doing more business, man. It doesn't matter. I care about my team and our clients. So it's just constant communication. And when we see an issue, we set up a meeting with the agent and try to, and try to help them resolve it and improve it and so forth. And so we really push on getting better.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Any other questions?
I have one on your blend of lead generation right now, because I was kind of looking at the list. I tried to keep a quick list as you were pulling things together. And I'm just curious, to what extent do you think right now your business is cold lead generation versus like inbound, like warm leads, come list me's, past client, that kind of stuff, warm sphere stuff?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, once you've built the business, I mean, I personally get, 2 or 3 a week of inbound, repeat, referral, whatever. But we've really put a lot of time and effort into adjusting our business recently in the last 3 or 4 months in trying to get to a response-based prospecting, which
Nice.
means we want our phones to ring. We want people to respond to us, even if they say stop, don't ever call me or whatever. We want that inbound, right? That's what agents want. We want inbound. So we're doing a lot more with AI. We're using Happy Grasshopper for regular messaging to our SOI, to new leads. In fact, sometimes some of our agents think that, hey, this lead is getting way too much communication. I don't care. You can only, you might have too much communication. They'll tell us to stop if we can't help. But it's also improving how we have those conversations and how we do that. But it's it's more outbound right now. I mean, really, because there's the markets. I mean, in our market, it's 50%. I mean, less than 50. 40. Our last stats was 45% of last year. Luckily, we're a little above that, but I mean, there was a point where we had 100 deals in escrow last year.
Right.
We don't have that now.
Right.
So we've got to do more. We've got to reach out. We've got to, double down on what we're doing. But I'm trying to make it easier for agents by implementing automation and so forth.
Yeah.
So
I think, Jake, the point too that you're making right now is that you have to be agile and you have to have a broad ability to move with the market. So, while you're working toward the goal of most of that being inbound, you got to be able to flex the outbound muscle as needed. Otherwise, you go out of business. So being agile. And of course, that's, a big thing for EXP too. But I like that you have the ability to do both.
It looks like we've got a here as well in just a second. I just don't want to lose that. Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, one of the things that I told myself when the market shifted and agents started leaving the team was I no longer want any individual agent or any market shift to define the success of our team. And that's why we're going to a point to where we have more control over our leads, and we're providing those leads to opportunities to the agents. And if agents leave, it's not going to change the success of our team. If the market shifts, we're not going to allow that to greatly affect the success of our team. And so that's what we're trying to get to.
Yeah,
That's great.
That's awesome.
Another question?
Aaliyah McPhee here, or is that Jason?
That's both of us here. We're actually, this is how important this is. We're at a home inspection right now in Aaliyah's car on this Zoom because we are not going to miss this.
What are you doing at a home inspection? You don't go to home inspections.
I was told Jake Rockwell did this 12 years ago, so I'm doing this with the team. So
I think I went on a few home inspections, but yeah.
Well, this is Aaliyah's first home inspection. You talk about training. So I showed up out of nowhere and said, hey, let's do this together. So couple quick questions. One, I just want to give a shout out to your team. I got 2 text messages this morning from 2 people on your team at 5 and 6 a.m. about working out and working together. You guys know who you are. I was already up, so no big deal. But the question I have, Jake, is that, you shared with us 10 years ago, you were in a different position. We are building a team here now. What was the change? What was the 1 or 2 things that you could share with us that made that shift for you to have the growth you have now?
Again, it was really, first of all, props to you for going on an inspection, because I think it's super important to learn the inspection process, to learn that, because you need to know how to have that conversation with your clients when they're going through the different things and taking people, taking clients off the cliff when they're thinking, there's so much stuff wrong. Anyway, so props to you for doing that. And that's absolutely pouring into your agents and helping them succeed. But it was really making sure that I had enough business coming in, whether it was 5 to 10 deals in escrow at all times. And then it was like, okay, being okay with letting go, being okay with letting commission go out of my pocket to an agent's pocket, because it's the same as like, I'm going to save up till I have enough money, and then I'm going to hire someone. Part of that is, well, if you hire someone, you now have more time to make more money, right? So there's a balance there. And so it's really making sure, your business is solid. When one agent comes on, are they successful? And maybe you might bring a couple on, but having those different pillars in place, make sure you have the time for the training and the support, make sure you have enough opportunity for those agents. There's teams that don't provide leads, and that's fine. They provide enough value somewhere else, but making sure that they have the opportunities and your time or someone's time to be able to grow their business. And if they're successful, they will flow in. People will come. And again, to propel, agent count is what will grow your business. But with agent count comes with expense and work, right? So you have to lead with revenue. I don't know if that answers your question.
It does. I appreciate that. And I'll just say one last thing, because you've said this several times, and I believe it to be true. There is no bad lead. Take every opportunity. Every time you say that, it's like music to my ears. So thanks for the powerful presentation, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and anytime, Jason, reach out to me directly if I can help with anything. Share, obviously I'll share every good and bad thing that I've dealt with over the last 10 years, and take any part of it that you're interested in. So,
well, you might want to put me on your favorite 5 plan with Verizon now. So,
yeah.
Jake, I love what you said about, where you started and where you're at. And you and I have obviously shared a lot with each other. But one of the things to share with people is that, and for them to get this, is that this wasn't your first rodeo, and that people, even though it's a different industry, it's similar. All those lessons you learned before. So sometimes people compare where they're at, but they haven't been through all the journeys you've been through to get, they're younger, they're just starting in the business. There's going to be a different learning curve for you than when you came to this, because you applied a lot of the principles that you'd learned before from winning and losing, right? So everybody starts a different place. Are you finding a lot of agents? I guess my perception, I don't know if it's true, but it seems like some agents are starting business teams too early when they don't really have it's almost like the industry saying, you're not cool if you don't have a team.
Yep,
and so then they're starting and they don't have systems in place, and they just lose people, and they don't end up making the money, and they don't really have the things in place. Do you see that? Where I see you'd already built teams before, so it was in your mind, right? You kind of knew how to give up money, which is one of the things people don't realize. Like, you gave up time and money when you started growing your team. It wasn't just instant money. It wasn't like your income just overnight tripled.
Yeah.
You actually gave up some money, didn't you?
Oh yeah. And I'm seeing a lot of the same. It's cool to build a team, and they want to build a team because they want to live that lifestyle of again, we only post the fun stuff on Facebook. We don't post the mornings and the stresses that go along with running a business. I just consider it a business. But yeah, again, I think that that's why you really got to know that you've got a business built, and then you start taking off the lower types of work off of your plate so that you can create, build. And that's really how it was built. I didn't start it that way. I didn't think about it that way. It just naturally happened. It's just like when you start your own business, you don't hire 10 employees to start the business, unless you're starting a franchise restaurant or something. But again, you bring on an employee because you're strapped with time, and then you add that. So, got to lead with revenue.
And one of the other things I've watched you do is that you're not concerned with perfection. You want everything to be really well, but you realize that most people aren't going to do it as well as you are. And I know that's a frustration for us. We've talked about that before plenty of times, but you've been willing to say, Jesse's worrying about reputation, these sort of things. Like, you can't grow if you don't let go.
Yeah.
And people are going to make mistakes, and you're going to have to clean up some messes, but you can't get where you want to go if you're trying to be perfect all the time. Is that something, have you struggled with that? How have you been willing to let go of that?
I am a perfectionist at times, but you have to let go. And so a new thing is progress, not perfection. And really, as you grow into a larger team, you've got to put people in place to take things off of the management plate, right? And that's where, listing coordination, marketing director, or, Tyler as expansion, it's taken a lot off my plates. We've had to backpedal a little bit in the last few months because we've had to let onboarding go, and we used to have our own principal broker on our team that would help with issues. But now we're leaning on EXP's principal broker team because I want, one, we needed to save money as a business. And anyway, yeah, it's a balancing act, but again, progress and tracking. I think that's another big thing is track what you're doing so that you can see where you're at and what's causing what's causing your success or non-success and so forth. So
Hey, Jake,
I just love what you're sharing. I love the transparency, Jake. Like of just saying that it's, we share this between the two of us, right? A lot sometimes we're just spitballing, right? We're trying to figure it out, and it looks really good on the outside, but man, on the inside, we're struggling. We're trying, how many conversations have we had together, right? We're like, oh crap, right? Like, what are we doing? And for everyone to realize that it's, I love what you said about the Facebook. It all looks good on the outside, but hey, we can't, everyone's going through a journey, guys, and realize that everyone's going through the journey. It's just one is reaching out to people that can help you on that journey to try and short circuit that. One is being on this call today and realizing we've got all these people in our groups and our EXP groups, and we're always saying to people, what can we do to help? What we can do to help? But not most people aren't reaching out, are they, Jake? Like you don't get that many calls.
And we don't have it all figured out. We're still trying to figure it out. I mean, it'll be like that forever. I love change because there's always, things change and we're just constantly trying to make each part of our business better. Anyway,
Jake, in the last minute, if you, two things, because I know that people are here because they really are thinking about starting a team. Number one, what's kind of the indicator that you are probably ready to go ahead and move down that pathway toward building a team? And number two, what's the first step you should take?
Yeah. So normally I would say time, but sometimes agents use up all their time not doing as much, right? So it's really a balance of production. Where's your production at? And I would say that if you're doing 20 to 40 deals a year and you're the only person, you're not using transaction coordination. I think first, obviously, you should always be using transaction coordination. It's an easy $350 to spend. That'll save you some time. You don't even have to build a team to do that. You can hire Jennifer at Expert TC or whoever, whatever TC in your area. But you got to start with production. You got to figure out, okay, how much business do you have? And then you got to think, okay, what's the income from that? And when I bring someone on, again, I think that the first step is just bringing somebody on that is, maybe you pay them a little bit by hour, 15, 20 bucks an hour. And then you give them a little piece of commission and have them help with some of your buyer leads, maybe. And they do a mixture of stuff. It doesn't have to be one job. I mean, some people might think differently, but they can work some of the leads that are coming in. They can do some of the paperwork, write some offers while you're on the road, and show some homes and so forth. So just making that leap. But again, you got to have consistent production. You might have all of a sudden you got 10 deals in escrow. It's time to build a team. Is the pipeline continuing? As you do that, you have to constantly be filling that pipeline. So again, for me, it was just, the first person that I brought on, it was just because after doing 20, 30 or 30 plus homes. And I think, when you're doing that consistently, I think absolutely that, and even if you're giving up $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year to bring on a team member, you should be able to get a return off of that.
Yeah.
I love that. That's huge. Well, that's such a good message for people about that consistency. Hey, Scott.
Oh, hey, I just wanted to say something. Having, worked with Jake and running a team in the past for a long time, something that I noticed with Jake and the Rockwell group that blew me away, did it much better than I've ever done it. I'm still trying to learn it, is that leveraging and delegating things. And having that perfection deal. Jake is so good he's a perfectionist, but he will give a task. Just like with Tyler, he said, I picked the right person, and he's resourceful. He can figure it out. And Jake can leave town. Tyler went and was resourceful and figures it out, because he'll do that more than I've ever seen. And it really works amazing. If you mess up, you're done pretty quick, but he will completely get it off his plate onto somebody who thinks he can do the task. And that's a tough thing for people to do. It really is.
And that comes with some experience of my previous businesses, letting go, and you've got to, though. I mean, it's part of running a business. Got to trust other people to do what they're doing. And, I have a little bit of a problem sometimes micromanaging, but I kind of think when I micromanage when things aren't, until things are done, the right way. But it's not perfect, but it's.
I think that too, like with me, when I've been coaching, big teams and things like that, that's one of the biggest problems that they just can't seem to comprehend.
I hear
see
that a
out
lot
there.
from
So it's
people.
like going into knowing you're going to get a team, you better get really good at that and be okay with it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, guys, I don't always want to be respectful of people's time. And this was such an amazing day. Like, absolutely incredible. As we post this inside the community center, if you're already with us, obviously you have access to all of this content, all of the amazing materials that we're going to get from Jake and the team and all that, in addition to thousands of hours of other trainings and coaching and all sorts of materials that are in there. And if you're not with us, get your butt on over here and let's get rocking and rolling. But also, thank you guys for spending your day with the community. Really appreciate it. And Jake, Tyler, all of the amazing leaders on the call, appreciate all of you guys and the incredible content, the incredible comments that we got from everybody. There's so many amazing top producers on here. But anytime we get the chance to learn from a top leader in the industry,
Yes.
It's a great day.
Real gift. Thank you, guys.
Man, I loved it. All right. Well, any final shots, Jake and or Tyler?
No, I'll put my phone number, my direct cell in there. If I can help in any way, obviously, shoot me a call or text. Email's the best for me because it sits in my inbox until I respond. But and I think I put my email in there earlier. Let me just do it again. And email me if I can help in any way. Be happy to jump on a Zoom. That's what we're here for. So appreciate you having us, and enjoyed chatting with everyone. And if I can help in any way, reach out.
Thanks, guys. See you later, everybody.